All right.
Imani's gigantic adventure. Imani had a gigantic afro and a gigantic imagination. One afternoon, her best friend Max came over to her apartment at 230 East Wetmore Road in Tucson, Arizona. Imani sat on her red couch, holding her big green stability ball, and watched as Max pulled out a strange-looking green gun. "I can't believe it, Imani," Max said, his eyes wide. "It's a shrink ray. I found it in my dad's workshop, and it actually works." He pointed the ray at the green ball, and Imani watched as it seemed to shrink just a little bit. But then, with a jolt, Max accidentally pointed the shrink ray at Imani. A beam of light shot out, and Imani felt herself getting smaller and smaller. Her gigantic afro, once a cloud around her head, became a tiny puff of hair. Max gasped and dropped the ray. "Imani, where did you go?" he cried, looking down at the floor. Imani tried to shout back, but her voice was just a squeak. She scurried away, hiding under the big red couch. Imani, now just a few inches tall, scurried along the floor, the carpet fibers feeling like a thick jungle. She could hear Max's worried voice above her, but she couldn't get his attention. Max searched everywhere, from behind the cushions to under the coffee table. "Imani, please come out," he called. But Imani was already too far away, a tiny adventurer on a gigantic journey. As the sun began to set and the clock ticked past 7 p.m., Imani found her way to her bedroom. Her bed looked like a giant mountain, and her cozy orange blanket was a vast, warm desert. Exhausted from her tiny adventure, Imani began the long climb up the bed frame. She pulled herself up onto the mattress and crawled under the cozy orange blanket, snuggling in for the night. Safe and warm, Imani fell fast asleep. She began to dream of a world where everything was big and she was small. A world she had just experienced, but in a whole new way. In her dream, Imani was at Fiesta Lanes, a giant bowling alley at 501 West River, RD. Her older brother Stan was there, getting ready to roll a huge, shiny red bowling ball down the lane. Stan rolled the ball, and it came rumbling down the lane like thunder. Imani looked down and realized she was one of the pins. She stood there, frozen in fear, as the ball got closer and closer. The ball rolled right past her, and she heard a chorus of tiny voices shout, "Ouch!" as the other pins tumbled to the floor. Imani let out a sigh of relief. The dream continued, and Imani found herself trying to run from the next ball Stan was about to roll. She dodged and weaved, her tiny legs moving as fast as they could. Just as the next ball came rumbling down the lane, Imani's eyes flew open. "I'm awake," she said, sitting up in her bed. She was back to her normal size. The sun was shining through her window. It was daytime. Her Aunt Lena was sitting on the edge of the bed, a kind smile on her face. "Imani? Max? Is everything all right?" Aunt Lena asked, her voice soft and gentle. She had a cup of tea in her hand. Imani laughed and told her all about her dream. "It was so weird. I was a pin in a bowling alley, and Stan was rolling a ball right at me," she explained. Aunt Lena laughed too. "Oh, my sweet girl," she said. "What a wild dream." She gave Imani a warm hug. Later that day, Imani was outside, playing with her green stability ball. She dribbled it and walked with it, imagining it was a basketball. She walked down the sidewalk, bouncing the ball with a steady rhythm. The sun was warm on her skin, and she felt a sense of peace after her strange adventure. She stopped and spun the ball on her finger, watching it twirl perfectly. Then she took a big shot, and the ball flew through the air, right into a gigantic hoop. It was just like her dream, but this time she was the gigantic one. The ball swished through the net, and Imani cheered for herself. Finally, Imani sat on her yellow stool in the bathroom. Aunt Lena held a pair of scissors, ready to give her a haircut. Imani looked at her reflection in the mirror, touching her magnificent, gigantic afro. "Are you sure, sweet girl?" Aunt Lena asked, gently. Imani nodded. "It's time for a change," she said. Aunt Lena began to snip, snipping away at Imani's hair. Soon, Imani's gigantic afro was gone, replaced by a beautiful, short haircut. She looked at her reflection and smiled. She was still Imani, with her gigantic imagination, and she was just right.
Well, the end of the story is number 36 of the tokens.